I'm live on Facebook Live. Hi, Facebook Live. Hi, live people. We're live today. How awesome is that? Hi. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to Eve and Encinitas. Beautiful Brandy's here to service you. And as am I with information. My name is Giovanna Mimoni, for those of you who don't know me. And I am the proud author of this book. Let me break it down for you. I can see my peeps. So, tonight I'm just, I don't know if you guys know I'm an improv teacher, so I'm totally going to wing it here. Improv most of it, see what happens. No, I'm kidding, I got some cards. But I kind of want to just talk to you guys a little bit about what the book's about, and then ask some questions to you guys about energy and frequencies and kind of how they show up in your life and how they affect you. The reason I wrote this book is because I happen to be extremely sensitive to energy, like in a debilitating way sometimes. And I went to Sedona, Arizona about 2 years ago, and I got sucked up into the vortex, like not even knowing where they were. I was like hiking around, and then I'm like climbing up the mountain, like off trail, and I just got sucked into the vortex, and I was like, wow, like, come on in, guys, hi, come on in, and I was like, wow, like, energy is really powerful here, and like, I feel it, but what about people who can't feel it, right? Like, it's still happening, but some people can't feel it as intensely. So I was like, well, what about all the energies that are happening around us on a regular basis? Like, they have to be doing something, right? Whether we know about them or not. So I spent 14 months researching, went down tons of rabbit holes. I started with my favorite man, Tesla, read about Einstein, and then down the rabbit holes we went and went and went and went and went. And as I was researching, I found information that was completely mind-blowing to me that I had no idea existed. It's not anything that we're taught in school. I don't know that it's taught in universities. I was not a science major. But I don't think so, because these were publications. These are scientific publications. I have actually over 60 sources in this only 85-page, 100-page book. There's over 60 sources where I got all my information, and they were mostly science publications, scientific studies, and I was like, wow, like, this is such fascinating information. I want to provide this information to people. So I wrote a book, and I put it all in here. And there's the main sections. There's energies, everything, because everything exists from energy. We are energy beings. We are everything in existence gives off a frequency. So I'm sure you've heard the term electromagnetic frequency, right? EMF. Hi, come on in. So electromagnetic frequencies, everything. Everything has an electromagnetic signal. So I thought to myself, wow, like we have all these like transmitted signals happening all the time. Which ones are good? Which ones are bad, right? So I did more research. So in the beginning, I wanted to find like the science of cells and how cells are actually created through energy. So the first section of the book's pretty sciencey, and that's why I hired an illustrator, because science can be really confusing to people. Next, yes, next. And I wanted to keep it fun, right? I didn't want to have like a bunch of information in there and people be like, ah, it's like going to school again. And then the second section is called Past, Future, Be Present, and how to really be present with ourselves. But also, I did a lot of research on thoughts and how thoughts have frequencies. And then the third section is called Foods and Moods, because all foods also have frequencies. So, based upon the research I've done, frequencies are either harming or they're healing us. So it's really important to know which are which. I wanted to also help people figure out what could possibly be in their energetic environment that's preventing them from moving forward, whether it's in a health stance or a happiness stance, or just, you know, getting rid of old stories that are keeping you stuck and locked down into a place you don't want to be anymore. So I would like to ask a few questions of you guys, and whoever wants to answer, cool. But how many of you guys consider yourself sensitive to energy? Cool. Does anybody want to elaborate in what way? What does that mean? Yes, please.
I'm a spatial sequencer synesthetic, so what that basically, most people are familiar with synesthesia, where people hear music and they see colors or something like that. It's kind of where you interlink both sides of your brain. Anyway, I experience everything in dimensional space, basically, and the more and more I'm sensitive, the more and more I realize that I'm interacting on this multi-dimensional level, where I'm very, very aware of it, and everything is energy. So
That's right. That's right. Anybody else want to add to that? Thank you, Jennifer. Anybody else have anything to say about that? It's okay, you don't have to. I just want to know by show of hands. So about more than half, right? More than half consider themselves pretty sensitive to energy. How many don't really understand what that means? All right, that's okay. This is why I want to. The reason I want to raise the awareness about it is because I think that we're kind of our own worst enemy. Would you all kind of agree on that for the most part? Like, our thoughts are pretty much our biggest sabotagers, and they keep us trapped in this place that we maybe not want to be. So the reason I wanted to raise awareness about energy is because sometimes we can feel really crappy and we don't know why. We're like, gosh, I'm doing everything right. I'm eating well, I'm exercising, I meditate. Hi, come on in. And I still feel off. What is it? And I feel that if I can raise an awareness for people to just be a little kinder with themselves, then in turn, we're going to be kinder to other people. And if we're kinder to other people, I kind of feel like that's a way to help raise our collective consciousness. Because right now, everybody's in a state of panic and fear. I don't want to say everybody. Most people watching news daily and stuff like that, there's a lot of fearful stuff going on. So that fear, collectively, actually gets sent out into the universe, and we all feel it. We all feel it. So my goal is to help people just take it easy a little bit, right? Take it easy. Let's get back to self. Let's figure out those things that are happening and really nurture ourselves, and let's be kind with ourselves. And then maybe that confusion, paranoia, and fear will dissipate a little bit. So you guys, well, I already mentioned that all energy has frequencies. Can anybody guess what? And I said they're either helping us or harming us. Can anybody guess which ones are harmful?
yeah.
Well, see, this is the thing. Everything has an EMF. But you mean like what? Like Wi-Fi? Okay. Cell towers, microwaves. Anything else?
Bad music.
Bad music. No, that's good. No, it's true because sounds also have frequencies. Like they say that sounds like nails on a chalkboard, right? Like when you hear that, you're like, oh, right? Did anybody ever see the movie Fantasia? Probably a long time ago. Do you remember when they did the musical note and it was animated and it was like boom, 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 and it would like the sharp sounds would be like really pointy and the beautiful sounds would be rounded? Well, that's what happens to our body. It's like, So you're right. Sounds can be very harmful. Alarms, subtle sounds, sounds that we can't even hear. Oh, I'll get into that. I don't want to get into any conspiracy theories, but there's definitely some waves being shot out that we're unaware of that may be harming our being. Any other harmful rays or EMFs? Or
Solar flare.
Solar flares. Thank you. That's another one that's in my book. Solar flares cause headaches, nausea, sleepiness, all kinds of things that you wouldn't even imagine. Next thing you know, you're ending up at the doctor for chronic headaches. And all I want to do, of course, is give you medication. But if you realize that there's actually solar flares happening, you're like, oh, okay, that must be why I have headaches. Again, it's the raising awareness of it. So let's talk about this slide over here. Are you guys aware of how often our cells regenerate? Anybody have any information on that?
Once every 7 years.
Actually, that's how long it takes to do a full reset. But the truth of the matter is, I don't have this all memorized, forgive me, I'm not saying this. The truth of the matter is that cells, billions and billions die every single day. We have trillions and trillions. The math actually is, which I can't do the math because it's such a big number, and I'm a math tutor and I don't even know what it is. 37 trillion cells make up our body, and there's 20 trillion atoms. 20 trillion times 37 trillion. That's what's happening in our body all day, right? And our cells are dying off, and they regenerate. Now, how do you think they regenerate? They regenerate by, cells split apart and they regenerate. Well, healthy cells will multiply, but unhealthy cells will also multiply. So if our cells aren't healthy, that's what causes sickness and dis-ease. And that's all done through, there's frequency. I don't know if you've heard of the Rife machine, George Lakofsky and the Rife machine, but there's actually, in 1927, I believe, they were actually curing disease and cancer in hospitals with frequencies. And they removed those and banned them from hospitals and called it quackery because they had no proof that it was working, even though people were getting better. They were actually healing people through frequencies. So the reason I want to bring up cells is because they don't have a brain, right? They can't distinguish. They just do their thing, right? Kind of exist. They do their thing, and they multiply. And they don't have a brain, so they can't be like, oh, that bad energy, she must be watching a horror movie, right? They don't understand the difference. They just feel good or they feel bad. And if they feel bad, they're going to generate off bad frequencies. If they feel good, they're going to generate off good frequencies. But we are the only ones that have control over which frequencies we allow to go in our bodies. Now, I'll go through like the avoidable ones and the unavoidable ones, but there's a lot that are avoidable that you would be really surprised about. So, what I want to go into now is the next slide, which is, I don't even need this. It's just confusing. I don't need it, I know what's in here. Okay, so now, so this is a little bit what I talked about just now. We have 6 cells, and they will multiply. And we have happy cells. Did everybody ever see What the Bleep Do We Know? That documentary on quantum physics for layman people. Well, they talk about happy cells, right? Let's create more happy cells in our body. Well, how do we create more happy cells? Well, we're going to find out as this little day goes on here. So, I'm glad you mentioned solar flares because there they are. Solar flares causing headaches. Full moon. Okay, there's no myth that, there's movies about werewolves and people going crazy on the full moon. I actually talked to some guy who said he was a janitor in the ER for 27 years, and he would always request the night off of the full moon because crazy stuff constantly happened, literally religiously, every full moon. So there are things in our surroundings that are affecting us, and if we're more aware of them, just take a breath, take it easy, and it's all going to pass, I promise. This next one is the other ones that we talked about, which is the Wi-Fi, television, cell phones, microwaves, everything in our environment. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the unavoidable toxins, which is the sun, the moon, not that they're toxic, the unavoidable frequencies that could be hindering our health and our moods, right? Sun, moon, cell towers. Now, how do we protect ourselves from EMFs? Cell towers. Anybody know about orgonite? Little orgonite pendants. There's pendants, there's pyramids you can put in your house. It actually draws the EMFs towards them so that they don't come to your body. What about the avoidable toxins that we have in our environment? Do we have an idea what those could be? Body care. I'd say the biggest toxic thing that we don't even think about is what we clean our house with. Bleach, Lysol, all those things. What are you shaking your head?
7th generation.
Oh, awesome. Awesome product.
Yeah.
Let's give a shout out to 7th generation.
Product placement, yeah, right.
What did you say?
Product placement.
Product placement. It's okay, I'll edit it out. I think that I have to pay them or something eventually. I don't know. But yeah, so just being really mindful of what we put in our body. And the reason that I mentioned skincare and environmental toxins is because what happens when toxins enter our body? What do you think that does? What?
They end up in our cells and our biology.
They do. They do end up in our cells and our biology. And what happens is they disrupt our systems Anybody know what the word free radicals are? They're these wild cells that go around in our body, and if they're not signaled to die, they multiply. Free radicals are what cause disease and cancer. So if we don't have properly functioning systems to signal off these bad cells to die, then they cause us to be sick. Does anybody know anything about what is also known to term as our third eye? What organ is that?
It's a pineal gland.
The pineal gland. Anybody have information on the pineal gland that they'd like to share?
Everybody's pineal gland is fluoridated. Calcified.
Calcified. Oh, how do you know that, Edward?
I started researching something about thyroid gland stuff and iodine, fluoride, and bromine, and there's another one, chlorine.
Chlorine?
Or chloride.
Chloride.
They're all the ions.
Okay.
And, 2 of them you need and 2 of them you do not need.
All right. Well, did everybody hear about what melatonin? You guys know about melatonin? You know what that is? You know what it does? Makes you go to sleep? Huh. It actually regulates our sleep cycles, regulates our circadian rhythms, regulates our 24-hour body clock. But the calcification in the pineal gland caused by fluoride and other things, the fluoride being a big part of it, all that lovely stuff that's being added to our water and all that good stuff. But the pineal gland is nicknamed the third eye. It's been known to be the generator of intuition and harmonious spirit. It's also the gland that produces a hormone called melatonin, which regulates our sleep and circadian rhythms. Melatonin also repairs the brain from EMF damage and helps free radicals in our body, which we learned cause cancer and other disease. So, the pineal gland, what happens when we sleep, it produces melatonin. So if you're not getting good sleep, you're not producing melatonin, you're not having the correct things that you need to fight off these free radicals. So people who work night shifts have actually really lots and lots more health issues, chronic health issues, heart disease, stuff like that, because they're not producing melatonin. So even though they sleep with, an eye mask on, our body still knows the sun's up, right? Our body knows it's not dark out, even though it's dark in our eyes. So people who don't get good sleep throughout the night, prime hours are between 10 and 2, 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. A lot of us wake up at 3 or 4. Does that happen to anybody? Wake up at 3 or 4 in the middle of the night? Anybody know why? Well, there's a couple reasons. Yeah?
Well, I mean, I've seen documentaries that have said humans used to have, before the Industrial Revolution, a period where they would wake up during the night, typically around that time for like either from half an hour to like an hour and a half, and then go back to sleep. So I think.
I read that too, and I read that was like a good time to meditate, and they would actually take it as the time to or it's called the spirit hour, or the witching hour, the ghosting hour, when all the ghosts come out, so maybe we're hypersensitive to that. There's another theory, the Chinese body clock. Our bodies, our organs get rest in a 12-hour cycle. So from 1 to 3 a.m. is actually our liver. That's when our liver, so people, if you drink and you pass out, and you wake up at that hour, that's why your liver's in total overdrive and it's like waking you up. But all of that interrupts the pineal gland from producing melatonin, which is essentially going to help fight off those free radicals. So let's see what this next slide is, because I don't know. Let's talk about frequencies of food, since it's on the slide. Does anybody have any idea which foods perhaps might have high frequencies? Greens, leafy greens. Greens?
Yeah, greens, vegetables.
Vegetables? Do we have an idea what the highest frequency is as far as foods go? Berries.
Fruit?
Berries. Fruit. Fresh herbs are actually the highest frequency. Basil, oregano, stuff like that. And the highest frequency is essential oils. But you can consume essential oils, given that they're safe. I'm talking everyday foods. Does anybody have an idea of what could have a low frequency? Sugar. Okay. Anything else?
Nightshades.
Nightshades. I guess it depends on your system. Beef, animal products, processed foods, microwave foods, canned goods, all have a frequency of 0. All of them. So if we are frequency beings, and we need to give our body high frequencies, don't you think foods play a pretty good part in that? There's a whole section called Foods and Moods and how they affect our mood. I mean, come on, how many of you eat sugar? I mean, whether you get a rush, what does it do to you? Make you feel horrible? Does anybody get moody from sugar? Cranky? Tired? Lethargic? Want to go to sleep after a while? Is that? Can't hear? No? So here's the frequencies. 20 to 27 hertz, fresh herbs. Dried foods, regular 15 to 22. Dried herbs, 15 to 22. I already mentioned, so here's a couple of the list. Fresh organic fruits and vegetables, pure clean water, pure filtered water, reverse osmosis, or freshly collected spring water are the best choices. Natural supplements like spirulina, herbal teas, herbs and spices, raw nuts and seeds, coconut, raw oils like extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, sea vegetation, raw honey, and maple syrup, fermented foods, sprouted foods, raw chocolate, legumes, and grains such as buckwheat, brown rice, amaranth, and spelt. I have a thing about brown rice, but I won't get into that. Certain foods also help decalcify pineal gland. You really want to know what these are. Those are good. These include garlic, raw chocolate, and raw apple cider vinegar. So, if we, the majority of food we eat is processed, packaged, canned, microwaved, and has a frequency of 0. Yes, 0. Other low to no vibrational foods are genetically modified foods, conventional food that has been treated with chemicals and pesticides. So if you're not buying organic, even though you're getting your fruits and vegetables, those pesticides just brought that high vibrational food down to a very low frequency because of those pesticides. Meat, fish, poultry, white rice, flours, sugar, coffee, soda, alcohol, processed meat, fast foods, unhealthy oils such as canola oil, cottonseed, margarine, vegetable oils, frozen food, pasteurized dairy products, overcooked foods, and deep fried foods. Those do not benefit the frequency of our body, according to what's in here. Sugar.
Even coffee?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Sugar. So, does anybody know what sugar does to our brain? Do we have an idea? It is like cocaine. It sets off, so what happens, it sets off the same neuroreceptors in our brain as cocaine. Okay? Neuroreceptors are called dopamine. So if you've ever been around a person on cocaine, you know that they're completely aggravated when they come down. Well, it's the same with sugar. Why? Dopamine is responsible for our motivation, and when it's chemically triggered, its natural levers are greatly depleted. Lack of dopamine produces self-doubt, procrastination, lack of enthusiasm. Sugar is not only horrible for our health, but it greatly affects our mood in a terrible way. It has been linked to health issues including ADD and ADHD. It spikes our adrenals, makes them work hard into overdrive, and puts us into higher risk of suffering from adrenal fatigue. Can't even get into the details of what adrenal fatigue can do, such as weight gain, damage to your heart, and other organs. But again, your body is your temple, and it's your choice. So the wheat, I just want to give another fun fact on wheat. So I don't know if you guys, this whole like gluten sensitivity thing, right? Why do you think that is? Anybody know the real reason? We're not all celiac. Do we have any idea why gluten is destroying people right now? What was that?
Pesticides.
Yes. 97% of our wheat cropped in the United States is soaked in pesticides prior to them even planting the seeds. Specifically, Monsanto, thank you, glyphosate, I don't even say the word because I hate them so much. I block them out. So the reason that we're getting irritated is because I got organic pasta from Italy and I had no reaction. The second I eat a piece of bread or anything, I get itchy everywhere, I get bumps and rashes all over my legs. So again, think what that's doing to our body. It is definitely depleting our frequencies. It's going to stop your organs from functioning to its optimal performance and cause sickness. Hi, how's it going?
Sorry, we're like,
No, it's okay. You can come on in.
okay, thanks.
So, foods, would you all agree that foods definitely affect our moods? Yes. Okay. Your choice though. Those are some things that we do have control over. However, we don't have control over people poisoning us with pesticides if we're not sure. Oops. Ah. How do I go back to that slide? Okay, I have all the frequencies right here. There we go. That's what I want. Okay. So, if anybody wants to take a picture of that, feel free. That is our little food pyramid that we should be concerning ourselves with. And not the food pyramid that you see at the doctor's office. Because that is complete false information. So here you have it. Here is our frequencies of foods. And you can see essential oils, chlorophyll and wheat grass at the very top. And death, look down here. Dead foods.
And taxes.
Lower karma.
That's neat for those.
Did we have,
All my favorites.
is that, hey, you guys can do whatever you like. You know, it's your choice. I'm here to provide information for you to hopefully make you inclined to make better choices for yourself, so you don't end up in the system, right? Because they don't know how to treat stuff like this. They don't treat our bodies with the concept of that for frequency beings. They treat the symptom. They're like, here's a symptom, take this Band-Aid, right? They don't get to the source of it. Doctors, maybe they'll tell you to stay away from red meat if you have heart disease, or don't have sugar or alcohol. But they honestly, no offense to them, because they go to school and they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they only know what they're taught, right? They don't like think that they need other information because they went to med school. So I don't go to the doctor. I don't need them. I actually have a couple creepy stories that I won't tell, but I cured my autoimmune, and I had third-degree burn on my whole entire leg that everybody swore was going to scar. Doctors told me it was going to scar. The nurse said she'd never seen anything like that. Completely healed it in less than 30 days, all naturally. Lavender oil, emu oil, manuka honey, and filtered water 4 times a day. Completely gone, no scarring, 30 days. I have all that on my website as well, all the pictures. Pretty amazing stuff. So, now, this is actually in the beginning of my book, and what goes with this is, could you imagine if plants were able to yell at each other? They would wilt and die, right? They would, because it hurts when people say bad, mean things to us, right? So why would we do it? We're living beings. It hurts our insides. It actually sends a very negative pulse through our body. And guess what happens to our cells? They're going, ah, no! And then they're multiplying off this, no, ah! And then we get sick. Our immune system shuts down. We're more susceptible to catching colds, flus, all other kinds of viruses. Often feeling sad or hurt or confused or lost or scared. Does anybody know what the lowest vibrational emotion is? I think I have this on the slide. I think it might be on the next slide. Anybody have any idea what the lowest vibrational thought or emotion is?
Fear? Guilt or shame?
Yes. Guilt and shame. Guilt and shame have the lowest vibrational frequency. Does anybody have any idea what the highest frequency?
Enlightenment.
Joy.
Is that?
Enlightenment.
You've seen the chart. What gets us to enlightenment?
I mean, a lot of things, but
There's one word I'm looking for.
Enthusiasm is like really nice.
Understand.
Oneness.
Anybody else have any ideas?
Meditation.
Depends where you're meditating. Depends what's happening in the monkey mind.
Prayer.
Prayer. You're closer. What do you do when you pray?
Faith.
Gratitude.
Yes. Gratitude. Gratitude is the highest vibrational emotion. Because enlightenment's not really an emotion, right? It's just a stage that we get to. But those are the things that get us there. Gratitude, because the more forgiveness, right? That takes us to our path of enlightenment, because we don't stay stuck in these low vibrations. If we stay stuck in this low vibration, we're not really capable of getting enlightened, right? Because we're stuck in our story, we're stuck in our head, we're stuck in all these things that keep us feeling low. So, let's see if this is the next slide here. Alright, so there we go. There's that one. If you guys want to take a picture of that one as well, you can. So gratitude's not up there, but it's in the, I couldn't find it, a specific chart. I've seen it in a documentary. I know you asked me about documentaries. I watch Christy Marie Sheldon a lot. She does enough documentaries. She talks about energy clearing and the vibrations of our emotions and feelings and how we stay stuck there. And there's actually things stuck in our body that we're not even aware of, which is what I want to go to next. Does anybody have any questions about this so far? No? Okay, so let me go back to this guy. Right there. There it is. Okay. Alright, so does anybody know what brain patterning is? Anyone have an idea of what brain patterning, brain mapping is? This is probably the most fascinating information I came across in all my research. Because now that we know that thoughts are frequencies and they cause vibrations in our body, and remember, our cells are multiplying constantly. They're multiplying off these vibrations. These are things that we have to be able to control. So I want to talk about patterning, page 23. This is crazy. I'm going to read you a quote that I got from a book called How Thoughts Program Our Cells. How Thoughts Program Your Cells by Jordan Lejeune. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Lejuwaan. Jordan Lejeune. This is some crazy stuff. Okay, here we go. There are thousands upon thousands of receptors on each cell in our body. Each receptor is specific to one peptide or protein. When we have feelings of anger, sadness, guilt, excitement, happiness, or nervousness, each separate emotion releases its own flurry of neuropeptides. Those peptides surge through the body, connect with those receptors, which change the structure of each cell as a whole. So our thoughts, let's say that again. Our thoughts create a surge, a rush of energy that goes through our body that literally changes the structure of our cells. Okay. Those change structure of cells as a whole. Where this gets interesting is when the cells actually divide. If the cell has been exposed to a certain peptide more than others, the new cell that is produced through its division will have more of the receptor that matches with that specific peptide. Likewise, the cell will also have less receptors for peptides that its mother or sister cell was not exposed to as often. So here's my breakdown of that. Our peptides are mostly receiving negative vibrations from our thoughts and our feelings, and our cells will regenerate from those lower frequencies, and we acquire them for food later on. They literally send out, where's that signal that I was formed from? So there's a theory that's been discussed by some experts that you can literally become addicted to depression. That's why it's one of the hardest things for people to get out of is depression. Why? Because our cells are being made from such a low frequency that that's what they're craving. So they send these messages to us like, where's that sadness? Where's my food, right? Where's my food? Because that's what they're built from. So then we give them more negative feelings because they're signaling to us in our body to feel that way. So that's why it takes consciousness. Okay, depression, I'm not even gonna get into that because I know there's a lot of people suffering from it and it's not my place to say. It really takes a conscious will to retrain your cells to feel good. Okay? And when they're given prescription medications, not only does that shut down their pineal gland, it calcifies their pineal gland, they don't have the will or the know-how or the energy to consciously flip that switch inside their brain. Let's see. Our body literally become addicted to depression, yearning for those same low frequencies they were made from. So in a 2015 article, What Happens to Your Brain When You Experience Happiness, written by Dr. Mariana Puccelli, talks about negative thinking. Negative thinking slows down brain coordination, making it difficult to process thoughts and find solutions. Feeling frightened, which often happens when focused on negative outcomes, has been shown to decrease activity in your cerebellum, which slows the brain's ability to process new information, limiting your ability to practice creative problem solving. Additionally, the fear factor impacts your left temporal lobe, which affects mood, memory, and impulse control. Thus, the more you focus on negativity, the more synapses and neurons your brain will create that support your negative thought process. That's kind of what I was saying, how they shoot out signals like, where's my negativity? I need my food, right? So I want to talk about brain patterning. Oh, I thought I was getting to that. I got all caught up in the cells inside of our brain. So brain patterning, this is super, super awesome. Okay. So another study was done. You all heard that we get our personality within the first 5 years, so they say, right? Does anybody know why that is? Does anybody know the theory behind that?
I mean, you're constantly in hypnosis, basically. Like you're learning at such an accelerated rate that, and your mind is just constantly learning. And then we kind of snap out of that or so, and like we hit like 5, and then like you're supposed to like your modeling phases after that, but that's something else.
Okay. Is that something you read, or is that your theory?
That's something I read.
Okay. So because we're in kind of like reactive mode, what sets our personality? What does it? Do you know?
I mean, yeah, just observing what we're around, like our parents or whatever we're around.
Correct. Okay. So this the first 5 years of a child's life are fundamentally important. They have a direct impact on how children develop learning skills as well as social and emotional abilities. Our brain, 90% of a child's brain develops by age 5. At birth, the average baby's brain is about a quarter of the size of an average adult brain. Incredibly, it doubles in size the first year, keeps growing about 80% of adult size by the age 3, and 90% near fully grown by the age 5. The brain is the command center of the human body. A newborn baby has all of the brain cells they'll have for the rest of their life. What? A newborn baby has all of the neurological cells that they'll have for the rest of their life. Okay. But it's the connection between these cells that really makes the brain work. So I want to go through this here. A map. So this is how a map is set in our brain. This is a super, super crazy concept for me. A map is set in our brain after repeated behaviors and reactions from experiences that we don't even remember. So the way that we respond when we're 2 and 3, let's say we grow up in a household where our parents are fighting all the time, right? And they think, oh, they don't know what we're saying, they're only 1.5, they don't understand the vocabulary. Well, an energy is an energy, a vibe is a vibe. The baby's going to pick that up. The baby's going to know something doesn't feel good. However, they don't have the rationale to process that it's not good. They're not like, oh, mommy and daddy are fighting, that's bad. They should be hugging and kissing and being happy. We don't have, as you were, what was your name? Sorry, I just took a bite.
Ben.
Ben, thanks. 2 bites. They don't know to say, oh, that's just a fight. They're sensing something that's off. So if we experience something at 2, then we apply that feeling and response at 3 and 4 and 5 and so on and so on and so on, because it's what we know to be life. We don't know any different. It's our experience. That forms our map. And that map stays there. Chris, that map stays there for the rest of our life. And unconsciously, we will react to situations the same way that we did when we were 2 and 3 years old. Unless, again, we consciously change our brain pattern. It takes a lot of will, meditation, energy clearing, maybe hypnosis. Don't know, it depends on the type of trauma you experienced as a child. Maybe you didn't even know. Maybe you thought you had like the best childhood ever. Your parents fought behind closed doors. Who knows? But there's some stuff going on in our brains that we can't consciously get to that are affecting us as adults and how we respond and how we deal with people and our feelings, right? Let's say, you know, when you get an emotionally or physically abusive relationship and that sets your pattern of work, right? I'm not worthy, I'm not this, I'm not that. Well, if that's your belief, that's the signal that you send out into the universe. Why do people keep ending up in these relationships? Because they're attracting it. That's the map, that's the pattern, that's their belief. Therefore, that becomes their reality for the rest of their life until they break that pattern. And that's not something you do with, bless you, it's not something you just do with foods. You know, I mean, you have to work at that. It takes a lot. So that's what I wanted to get to on brain patterning. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a hypnotherapist, so I can't claim to heal anybody. But what I can do is help people identify that. Okay, so what are things that influence our thoughts? We talked about it earlier. Parents, right? What's the biggest one that we have every day? I don't watch TV. That's my favorite picture. Brainwashing. I'm totally getting brainwashed by the television. Besides the EMFs that are coming off of it. What's up, Russell?
Hey.
We are totally getting that pattern, our self-worth. We're told what we need to look like. We're told what we need to dress like. We're told what we need to sound like. We're told what we need to, how much money we need to make. We're told what kind of house we have to live in, how many kids we need to have. Where does that come from? Right there. Advertising, TV, marketing. One of my favorite thoughts, one of my favorite quotes is, somebody's opinion of you is none of your business. This goes a little bit deeper. This is about your story. A lot of times your parent's story becomes your story, right? Because what happens when a parent yells at their child, they're referring to their brain map that they have from when they were a child. So the cycle goes and continues on forever and ever and ever and ever. And then why should we listen to what somebody tells us? That says, you're ugly, you're never going to be anything, you're worthless. Do we have to believe that? Why do we choose to believe those things? Those are our choices, right? So basically, essentially, you're allowing yourself to look into a mirror as if you're saying that to yourself. Would you say that to yourself? I don't know, maybe some people do, but that's for you to answer as you wish. So if you wouldn't say that to yourself, why would we allow somebody else saying it to affect us? Brush it off. You know, like, it's, and look at those poor little cells on the inside getting sick because somebody's yelling at them. And then I have, why would love want to hang out with hate, right? So you can be like, oh my God, I'm so ready to find my partner, I'm so ready to find my wife or my husband, or whatever that means to you. But you have all these patterns and all these energies that are stuck inside your body that you're not conscious of, that are going out into the universe, and it's going to attract hateful things. Why do they say empaths attract sociopaths? It leaves us vulnerable. But why would love want to hang out with hate? I have no idea. Read the book. I have no idea. It's one of the biggest destroyers of us being able to clear our conscience. Ego. We gotta release that ego. How do we release ego?
Gratitude.
Gratitude? Yes? Where is ego? Where does ego exist?
In the mind.
And? In the past. Right? What we think we are, what we think we know, what we think we deserve, all that comes from what? Stories? Past. So if you're present, your ego's not there. If we're embracing the now, we have nothing to refer to. We have nothing to validate what should or should not be. So That's why I have a whole section in my book called Past, Future, Be Present. How to rid our past. How not to, another one of my favorite quotes, worrying is being in the future. Okay? That's all worrying is thinking about what could possibly happen. That's the future. Another favorite quote of mine is worrying is wishing for what you don't want to happen. Right? That's all worrying is. So why do we do that to ourselves? How do we get out of that pattern? How do we break that stuff? Pretty powerful image. What do you think that one's about?
Confusion?
Stress. So I say stress kills you faster than anything. It's like pulling a gun to your body and pulling the trigger. Over time, it's going to kill you. It will. Body shuts down, your organs shut down, your immune system shuts down. All those bad cells keep multiplying, cause sickness and disease, and it's really hard to turn around from that. Another thing, I'm sure you all know, so thoughts are manifestation. That's all they are, thoughts. We create our reality, right? And I say thoughts are like having your own little magic genie, a little wish. I wish for this. You can wish for things you don't want by focusing on them. Your thoughts become your reality. Thoughts are things. They're things. What makes that genie not want to give you your wishes? Fear. Fear is on that low vibration. So how do we manifest good things when we're constantly in fear? How many entrepreneurs do we have in here? How many of you have allowed fear to prevent you from getting further, at least in the past, maybe not now? Okay, what did you do? What did you do? If you want to share, if you care to share, what did you do to overcome that, or have you overcome it, or are you still working on it?
What have I done to overcome it?
What's that?
Look at me.
No, you don't have to answer if
Yeah, no.
anybody wants to.
I mean, honestly, a lot about what you're talking about resonates. Like I bring a lot of awareness to my patterns and how it's showing up. So yeah, to shift it takes a level of consciousness, and that's a daily practice of mine. So surrounding myself around people that are being honest and real with me in what they're seeing and experiencing in their own lives. That's another big thing that helps me out. You know, from like a funny kind of standpoint, I now put my arm around it and acknowledge that it's in my world, whether I like it or not, and I have a choice to, you know, submit to it or bring it along with me in the direction that I'm actually choosing to go in. So.
Thank you for sharing, man.
Yeah.
So again, it's about raising our awareness of what we can control. So what can we control? Thoughts, foods that we allow to enter our bodies, the energies that from other people that we allow in our surroundings, right? I mean, we always say like, oh, that person has bad vibes, right? You can sense. Personally, if I'm in like a really bad place, I don't want to leave the house. Why? Because I don't want to vomit my energy. I don't want to just throw my energy on people. You know, because I know how uncomfortable it feels to be around other people that are shitting, you know, energetically shitting on me. So I choose not to do it to others, and that's when we have to call upon our community and our friends to help us get out. Does anybody have any idea what this picture represents?
Consumerism.
Was that
Consumerism.
Hoarding?
hoarding? Holding on to what? Useless shit that we don't need anymore. Right? So this goes along with my thing of you can wish for stuff all day long. But if you haven't cleared space for it, it's not coming. There's nowhere for it to go. Your body is filled with shit that you don't need anymore. These feelings and these emotions and these stories and these attachments that we don't need anymore. Buy a brand new car, your garage is filled with shit. You don't have anywhere to put it. Where are you going to put it? Now that's going to get ruined. Right? So that's why I talk about like manifestation. People are like, oh, I meditate and manifest, it's not happening. There's a deeper reason why it's not happening. It's not because you don't really want it with all of your heart and your might and your being and your focus and your visualization and everything that you have power of doing. It's because there's no space for it. There's no space for it. So before we call stuff into our lives, we've got to clear some of that energy. We've got to find ways to clear that. Now, whether that's forgiveness, throwing stuff away, photo albums, I don't know what that means. It means so many different things to different people, but we got to get rid of that or we're not going to be able to call in stuff that we want. So that's what I was talking about earlier. Ego, releasing ego through empathy. Right, because what's ego? I can't believe you did that to me. Right? Nothing's happening to you. It's somebody else's experience that you're experiencing with them. Right? People aren't doing. I always tell people all the time, I'm like, no offense, but nobody really cares about you because they're so worried about themselves. They're always focused on themselves. Unless it's like a personal vendetta, like I'm gonna make sure that I make you hurt and mess your life up. Like, unless it's like a conscious, like revengeful vendetta against somebody, nobody's trying to do anything to you. They're just being who they are, and you're allowing that to hurt you. You're allowing that to affect you. Why? Because of our ego. Oh, how dare they treat me like they don't know who I am. They don't know I'm such a compassionate person. We have to have empathy for those people, right? Empathy. Empathy for them. Yes, Chris.
Oh, and I guess that's also a way too that you don't have to let necessarily bad vibes from other people really get to you, even if, you know, of course you don't want to like maybe become best friends with them if they're, you know, but if say if you're like in a work environment or something that, you know, you can be in a place within yourself that you just won't allow whatever negativity might be around to really get to you and just let it roll off. So.
Exactly. Thank you for that. Yeah, like don't feel bad, but feel empathy. Like, wow, maybe they got in a fight with their spouse. Maybe their dog just died. Maybe they just found out they got cancer. Like, we don't know what's happening in people's lives. So why should we? I'm not saying why should we care, but why should we care in relation to us? Because they don't really care about us in the sense of like deliberately trying to hurt us, right? So these are all choices. But these are all things, these are all vibrations, these are all energies that we have to practice regularly so that our little bad demonic ego doesn't keep getting in our head telling us what we're supposed to be thinking and what we're supposed to be feeling. Alright, this is at the very, this slide over here is in the middle of my book and the other one's at the end of my book. So does anybody have any idea? I want to briefly talk about the frequency of nature. So why do you think it feels so good to go outside?
Harmony.
Harmony?
Yeah.
Fresh
Okay.
air.
Was that?
Fresh air.
Fresh air?
Schumann resonance.
Schumann resonance? What is that? It's in here.
7.5 hertz.
7.83? No, but I mean, what is the Schumann resonance?
Frequency. Well,
The Earth's
and
heartbeat.
too.
What's that?
It's also our heart. It's the same.
It is. And, yes?
Oh, I think it's like clearing for the body and for the mind because there's not distractions maybe that you'd see like in regular society or civilization, and your mind can like relax and let go as well as your body with the natural elements that are around you.
Okay. And do you guys know about brainwaves? Alpha, beta, theta, delta, those types of brainwaves? Where's the, 7.83, they actually rounded to 8. So that is, I believe, theta. Theta or delta? I think it's theta. So I just want to read this quick excerpt. 432. You heard 432. What have you heard about 432?
That's frequency of A.
Frequency of what?
Frequency of the note A, but it's like the old version of the frequency. It used to be, right now it's 440, but
Correct.
it used to be 436.
432.
432.
Right. Frequency of music, back in the day, Mozart, all the classical music was made to make us feel easy and peaceful. There's conspiracy about them raising it on purpose to make us more agitated, but 440, not in tune with our body. 432 is in tune with our body. Why? Because according to music, 8 hertz and 432 hertz are on the 8th octave scale. So they're like by multiples, you know, just like 4 and 16, you know, 4 squared is 16, you know, they're in common, the same type of theory. So here's the crazy thing. So our body's 7.83, Nature is 7.83. Earth is 7.83. There was actually an experiment done. It's in my book. I don't want to keep filing through it. I'll take better notes next time. But some guy got a Pulitzer Prize. Is that what I'm trying to think of? Right? Is that the big
Nobel
award?
Prize?
What? Pulitzer Prize?
Nobel.
Nobel Peace Prize. Or Nobel Prize, not Peace Prize. Nobel Prize, thanks. We got the Nobel Prize for creating the first life of DNA without the existence of life being present. And how did he do that? The frequency of 7.83. Started raising the frequency in the water, raising the frequency, and right at 7.83 came this miraculous existence of life through a frequency. So, let me just read this real quick. Science from all over the world over hundreds of years have been studying human brainwaves, growth of DNA in water, the Earth's electromagnetic pulse, which I said they all came up with the same frequency, 7.83 hertz rounded to 8 hertz. Why does the frequency 7.83 keep coming up in groundbreaking studies? Where is it coming from? That frequency is at the top end of the theta range at the start of the alpha range, and is also life's natural relaxed state. According to the mathematical formula for sound from the octave music scale, 8 hertz has a harmonic resonance with 432. Besides being the rhythmic sound frequency of nature, 432 sounds familiar. It's associating with the tuning of softer and pleasant music known to cause relaxation and meditative states. So 8 hertz and 432 are in sync. Those are the frequencies that nature gives us. When we go outside, birds chirping, just the whole existence of nature is in such tune with our body. That's why it's so important to get outside. Forget about what the sun's doing to our body. But we need those frequencies to heal us. There's a guy he was a Buddhist monk, or he became a Buddhist monk. He got diagnosed with like 3 or 4 cancers. He had like weeks to live. He went to some ashram or some monastery somewhere and laid on the ground, laid on earth for 8 hours a day, taking in Earth's frequency, and within 6 months, completely healed himself of all sickness and disease by taking in Earth's frequency. I'm sure he ate well and meditated and stuff like that. That was, I'll have to get his name, but if you Google it or look it up on YouTube, there's a whole interview with this guy's experience and healing himself with nature.
Right, from cancer, you said?
He had like 4 different cancers, stage 4 cancer. He was on his way out, and he laid on the ground for 8 hours a day and took in the frequency of the earth and the grass. So it's our choice, right? We can live in this toxic environment with Wi-Fi's and pollution and cell phones, or we can choose to live harmoniously in nature, or both.
Right, and when you go to a hospital, they basically prevent you from connecting with Earth, because you're up on the 5th floor, you got no natural light, you got fluorescent light, you got the Wi-Fi going, and then they feed you crap, so pretty much you're better off.
Right? I mean, the hospital's killing
I was
you.
telling people, if I were gonna say, I'd take my chances with being out in the alley, just sitting out in the sunshine in the alley behind the hospital, better chance than actually being in the hospital.
You're right, because you got fluorescent lights,
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, and crappy processed microwave food.
Plus, they're gonna shoot you up with a lot of drugs that make you acidic.
Exactly. So there's a couple other things I didn't go through about self-care and self-love and all that stuff, but that's a little bit more on the emotional energy part. I just want to make sure there's no other big points that I wanted to go over before I ask you guys if you have any other questions. So we went over the avoidable and unavoidable environmental toxins. Internal things that we have control over is our thoughts and our foods. Understanding us as an energy being. Did you guys feel like you learned some information today about your body and how we need to treat it? And what was, anybody want to share their most aha moment or takeaway that they got from this information? Yes?
The body and the mind have a memory, and that things that we're experiencing today might be part of the programming that had happened and already been forgotten.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yes. So
Yes.
I have always wanted to know, like, where life comes from in a scientific sense. You know, like what's the difference between a human and a rock? And you kind of answered the question for me when you said that thing about the water and the DNA, where you just turned up the frequency and it suddenly sprung at, what was it, 7.8?
7.83.
That answered it, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
The illustration of the rock and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of like opened my eyes because you don't realize how much physical and emotional junk that you just keep and stuff. And you do have to get rid of it. And sometimes you just hold on to it for no apparent reason. You're just like, okay, I have this in the back of my mind, holding it. I'm holding it for what reason?
Your body's addicted to it.
Yeah, and then you just say, you know, just let it go. Just let it go, and then get rid of that junk. Have a little open so that you have more things, and not just the junk that you have behind you, but getting new things. So that was kind of nice. I like that illustration.
My illustrator is awesome. I want to give a shout out to my stepniece, Lillian Higgins. Lillian Margaret Higgins. She's married now, so she changed her last name. Yeah, so thank you. I'm glad. I'll let her know that you're joining her. That's why they're there. They're there to kind of give you guys a visual of like what's actually happening, right? Because we read words, we get distracted. You see that picture, and you're like, there's 24 actual colored illustrations in there, by the way. So, okay, cool. Anyone else? Yes.
I wanted to bring up a topic about perfumes. Like, what do you think of that? I think that's toxic too. Like,
They're very toxic.
Yeah.
They're chemicals.
I did a media
I do too. I'm allergic to all. I guess it's an allergy. I can't do any like rose or jasmine that's synthetic, or any cologne. Actually, perfumes for some reason are worse than colognes. Men's colognes don't bother me as much as women's perfumes. So I don't know what the hell they're putting in women's perfumes that are so toxic. But I get the same. They're chemicals. They're chemicals. It's just like if you were to breathe in bleach or Lysol. Or the Glade scented candles that they're now finding out are causing all kinds of health issues.
And because you're spraying it on your skin, which is transdermal, your liver doesn't have a chance to detoxify it, so it's not worse than eating crappy food, I think.
Exactly. It is. Our skin is the largest organ in our body. It's the largest organ in our body, so if we're not good to it, and we're not getting... So by the way, you can get up to 40 minutes, probably an hour, hour and a half of sun every single day, no sunscreen. Okay, you don't need sunscreen, those are chemicals too. So if you go in the sun for 40 minutes a day, you are providing so many nutrients for your body. There's also a new study that's recently been done that the sun does the same thing to us that it does to plants as far as photosynthesize. So the sun actually helps our body function. Like our system's kicking a gear, right? That's why if you're sitting under fluorescent lights all day and you don't get your daily dose of vitamin D, you're gonna be dragging ass. Yeah.
So I've heard of people who live like in Seattle with seasonal affect disorder. So I have something that's the opposite of that, and I've tried Googling it, and I see a small segment of the population. When I'm in the sun, I feel not good. I am my happiest on cloudy, rainy days. It's like the opposite of seasonal affect disorder.
Maybe you're too sensitive to the energy coming from the sun,
I don't know,
perhaps.
but it's completely depleting for me, and I get depressed. I get depression inside.
Huh.
And
Interesting.
I know I'm a vampire.
It's all right. We can talk more about that. I'm interested in hearing about that. Anybody else have anything? Let's see. Thoughts, foods, environmental, being present, brain mapping, limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs is a whole other thing, but that goes along with our story, right? We got to clear those stories. We got to get those stories out.
Yeah, I just want to mention, we're talking about depression, and I think the opposite of depression is enthusiasm. And that was one of the reasons when you asked about that hierarchy of emotions, that I had seen one of those like years ago, and at the top was enthusiasm. And the explanation was that actually literally means the God to you. Enthusiasm, what it means, and Theo is God. So I think that's great, and I'm surprised that it wasn't actually on there, but I think that's getting yourself into a positive, like it's really the opposite of depression. It's like moving yourself forward because you're in touch with the mind energy, letting it come into you, and then you're like, wow.
Oh, thank you. I'm thinking maybe joy, enthusiasm, joy.
I don't know, and they had peace on there, but like peace, actually, that's so,
Someone was talking to me about peace being grace. Peace being grace. Allowing grace into your life, ease. So I think that's where the peace comes from. Just allowing things to be. Just let it be. What was that?
You need to have peace in your life, otherwise it's going to be hectic.
Yes.
Everything is going to get into you. So if you don't take care of yourself, your surroundings, I can't even. Well, I know when I'm not, my energy level is low. I cannot be around people that have the same low energy level. Otherwise, it's like it will suck me in.
Yeah.
So I try to stay away from everybody and just let myself up again. Raise my energy level to the next level.
That's why they say misery loves company, right?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yes, Chris?
Oh, I just wanted to, this experience came to mind when she was talking that I worked for a little while with some Siberian shamans, and one of the things they had as their practices is they would always go run first thing in the morning, and they said like that would help them get into like a higher energetic state, like just that, even the act of running, like activating their body, activating their system. So then they said they would be more immune to like any kind of negative energies throughout the day. It was like one of the practices that they implemented. So I decided
Oh, nice, thanks.
even like 20 minutes. That's
I actually didn't get into sound and sound therapy, but I also read a recent study how these monks were, they took away their chanting time and went to more silent meditation, and they all got really depressed. And they're like, oh God, we're really sad, like what? And they found out that the chanting, the actual sound, is therapy for our body. I have chronic bilateral sciatica, and one day my sciatica went out, and I was debilitated. I was laying in bed. I couldn't move. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. I don't like to take, ibuprofen or anything, and I was literally suffering. I took some ibuprofen. Nothing was helping. I was crying in bed for like 8 hours. I couldn't sleep, and then I was like, wait a minute. I put my hand where my pain was, and I started humming. And as I was humming and sending that vibration through my body, pain started to dissipate. And in like 30 minutes, for the first time in 2 days, I was actually able to get out of bed and walk. All from sending that vibration and that sound through my body. So there's actually Alina, Scott's wife, the owner of Eve, she gave me her thesis paper because has her master's in music therapy, I think, or music theory, and sound. So she gave me her thesis paper, and I cited her in this book as well about sound therapy and how sound heals. And we had this conversation. Now I said everything is energy, and she said no, everything is sound. And I said, yeah, every sound has energy, right? So I mean, they're kind of related, but it opened up my mind too to like, oh wow, yeah, everything, because sounds we don't hear them. That was also in the movie What the Bleep Do We Know. But no, there's a documentary on Netflix. I think I have probably 100 documentaries. Oh yes, you had asked about. Oh no, podcast. About 100 documentaries in the back of this book about stuff that I recommend. They were talking about sound. Oh, things that the unseen universe, I think it's called, or the unseen world. And it was frequencies that are happening that we can't see. And it's like insane, and they would like animate them and show what's happening around us. Like crazy microwaves, Wi-Fi, beams, like just stuff buzzing around happening. And they would show the frequencies. So the higher the wave, I believe, the higher the frequency, the more stretched out, the lower the frequency, I believe, or maybe it's the opposite. Don't quote me on that. It's in there. Okay, cool. So sound is another thing that I didn't touch upon, but there's so much information on sound healing and sound therapy. But it goes with the same thing about frequencies. Every sound has a frequency. So So if you have healing, I believe frequency of 526 or 528 is actually the frequency that repairs human DNA. There's been tons of study done on sound. I believe that was the Rife machine. The Rife machine was 528 frequency, and it actually repairs human DNA and repairs 6 cells. Do you have a question? Oh, no. Here. Yes?
So you opened with talking about Sedona, Arizona, and the other night you alluded to me that you had some experience there.
Yes.
I was hoping you could elaborate on that.
I mentioned it earlier that I just got sucked up into the vortex.
I didn't know what
I had no idea. I was walking on a trail and I just started, I'm kind of like off the beaten path kind of girl anyway, so I just like went up the side of the mountain and I did a Facebook Live, and my friend that's from Sedona, she commented, she's like, "You're in the vortex." I'm like, "Of course I am." I got sucked right in it. But no, the energy in Sedona was so powerful and so overwhelming that I almost couldn't take it. Like I had to stop and meditate. Like it wasn't bad. It wasn't a negative energy. It was just so overwhelming, and I had no idea what was happening. I was like, what is this energy? What is happening to my body right now? It was physical, it was mental, it was emotional, it was so intense. My heart was racing. There was like so much physiological stuff happening to my body, and I hadn't done anything different than just enter. Has anybody been to Sedona? Crazy. The trees grow in spirals. They like grow twists like this because there's energy vortexes, and they spiral around, and nature grows in a full spiral in parts of Sedona. It's the most fascinating thing.
Why would it only be there? Or why
Because of the vortexes. I actually recently saw a documentary about the energy vortexes on Earth. I believe there's about 11 or 12 of them. I think the pyramids of Giza have them. Sedona is another one. So there's I think 11 or 12 points in the world that have it, and the points all form triangles. So it goes like this. So if you were to stretch the map out for the flat earthers, if you were to stretch the map out, all of the energy vortexes make triangle patterns with each other, all throughout the whole entire world. This could be sacred geometry, that's in there too. It could be a sacred geometry patterning of how energy, vortexes and spreads out, and then maybe another vortex spread out. Again, there's so much information out there. I just pretty much touched upon like the basics of everything, in hopes that if people found interest in a particular topic, that they would maybe do their own research and dig deeper into a topic that they're like, wow, that sounds really interesting. I'd like to know more about that. So. Yeah, I don't know what these vortexes are, but there's 12 in the world. They're pretty fascinating. Does anybody else have anything they want to add or contribute or take away or? Yes?
I just said
Oh, thank you. I'm really grateful for all of you. I mean, like I said, I'm very, very passionate about this information. Where is this? Why don't you stay in touch? Okay, I'm really, really, really passionate about this information and about helping people. So if anybody wants, my iPad's open. I'm offering a 30-minute complimentary consult if you just want to talk about stuff, talk about some things in your environment that you're unsure of. You can go ahead and schedule that through my calendar over there. I do Facebook Live every Wednesday. Wellness Wednesday, Holistic Happy Hour at 3 o'clock on my Facebook page, and talk about this stuff. I also have a website, let me break it down for you.com. My book is also available on Amazon and Amazon Kindle, but it's also available here if anybody wants to get a copy. And I did a puppet show too called Sam and Graham on YouTube. But I only did 2 episodes because the first episode took me 30 hours and the second episode took me 20 hours, and they're like 5-minute episodes. And I was like, oh my god, this is so time consuming. So I stopped doing that, but there's 2 episodes on YouTube on the Sam and Graham YouTube channel. There'll be more. I'll do more as I can tighten up the puppetry, but it's a puppet show. And it's this young boy, he's probably about 8 or 9, and his very wise grandmother. And she teaches him all the stuff he's not learning in school. And it's really cute. And people are like, wow, what a great way to present this information to kids, you know, this is done through a puppet show. So if you guys want to keep in touch, I have Facebook, Let Me Break It Down For You page. I also have Instagram, Let Me Break It Down For You book. Just go to my website, letmebreakitdownforyou.com. You can sign up for your free consult. Or you could grab one of my business cards that has all my information on there as well. But I just want to, first I want to thank Brandy and Eve for allowing me to use this amazing space to spread this information. I want to thank all my viewers on Facebook Live. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope my camera's still on. I have no idea. Guess we'll find out. And I especially want to thank you guys. Otherwise, I'd be up here talking to myself, which I'm okay doing. I do it all the time. But it's much more interesting having you guys here and feeding off you and having any questions. Does anybody feel like they have a burning question that was not answered, or a follow-up question, or anything before we close the evening?
I have a thing.
Yes.
I came in a little bit late, but if you didn't talk about it, I want to know what you think about 5G.
Run! Robert can tell you about that too. Run very far. We're doomed. We are doomed. So another fun fact, and I'll edit this out of my video for YouTube. And regardless of how you feel about marijuana, we all know it's medicinal. But I did read an article that people who smoke marijuana are going to be a little more protected from 5G frequencies because of our e-cannabinoid system. So I don't know if you guys know we have a system in our body called the e-cannabinoid system. And that regulates so many other systems. They don't talk about that in science class. Why? Because they don't want people to know that cannabis has been something that we've been using medicinally. It's inherently, genetically in our body. So that's why it cures lots of things, because it activates the e-cannabinoid system. But I actually read that the 5G networks are sending out messages. Again, could be conspiracy theory, but they're using that to hurt us and send sick frequencies to our bodies so that we get agitated, we get depressed, and we get sick. And apparently our e-cannabinoid system helps protect us from these frequencies that are being shot at us. So unless you can move to another country, I'd say smoke more pot. I don't know.
I'm kind of down for that.
I'm not sure.
Hi.
But so anybody else before we close the evening? But we can talk about it more about
Yeah, I
later.
gotta add, since he brought up 5G, I just have to say, okay, so
Yeah.
I saw this amazing video last night on YouTube. It's called 5G Apocalypse. It's a 2-hour compilation of like all the best information. And it's so scary. It's actually, the 5G will actually kill off our gut microorganisms and soil microorganisms, in addition to like the weeds, pollinators, and all this. And so when the soil becomes dead, it's not going to grow any more food. And when our gut bacteria doesn't work, that will affect our minds. So then our people are going to start to go crazy, and the doctors aren't going to know why.
They don't know why.
No, I know, but they're really when it happens like a lot of people. So it's really, really serious.
I actually, thank you for sharing that. I actually did, found in my research, it's in there too, about bees and birds, about their cryptochrome that they have, how they can see infrared, they can see blue light. So there's a theory about why the bees are dying, because there's so many harmful electromagnetic frequencies being passed through the air that they're losing perception of where they're going. They're getting completely disoriented, and their whole entire cryptochrome molecule and their way to be able to navigate and live and produce food for us is being interrupted by these frequencies. So yeah, the 5G network is going to come screw up the bees even more. So I guess there's some truth to learning about the birds and the bees, but it has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with how they function through electromagnetic frequencies, which is similar to how we function, except they literally live off of it. And if those electromagnetic frequencies are harmful, we're not going to have any more bees. That's what's happening to the bees.
Yeah, and it's gonna alter our DNA, and actually the DNA of every living thing on Earth. So you know, it's taken like eons for us to like build up our DNA through basically like learning and things like that. And now that's gonna all be attacked, and it's like gonna start collapsing.
So this is why we have to band together,
Exactly.
guys.
That was my point. Yeah. We have
And
to get
raise
involved.
our consciousness and stay positive and support each other and have support groups and like do little gatherings, you know, this is a great space, even if we don't reserve the room, just like to even have gatherings and support each other, just to be able to talk about this and feel supported and not feel like a Martian, because we have information that most people don't really, they're like, well, or they're either not interested in, or they're totally detached and shut down, that it doesn't even faze them, they're not learning anything, but this is part of my education, is educating people so that we can empower ourselves. You know, that's why they say knowledge is power. We can empower ourselves with information and help protect ourselves the best way that we can. But we can't protect ourselves if we don't know what we're protecting ourselves from, right? So we'd like to think the FDA and all those government-implemented agencies are protecting us for our highest good, but they're not. They allow poison into our whole entire ecosystem. So it's really up to us to take care of ourselves. And it really is hard to do things these days by ourselves. So I'm here to support any of you who need support with anything. If that's what you choose to do, get support. I just want to let you know. Also for Facebook Live people, or any live people on the planet, that I am here to help people heal and get happier and healthier and get more empowered with information. So if there's anything that I could ever do, please don't hesitate to reach out. So I want to thank you guys, and for those watching on Facebook Live, let me break it down for you. It's available on Amazon and Amazon Kindle, and hopefully maybe, I don't know, in a few months we'll do another Q&A about something, about some more tidbits in there. So everybody good? Satisfied?